Hello, everybody. Today we are starting Chapter 10, which covers many topics regarding measurement. However, we are going to start with the metric system and customary units of measurement and how to convert between the two. This, as American students, is very important because in science, we only use the metric system, but, oh, wait, this is the metric system. But in our everyday lives, we typically use the customary units system of measurement. So the metric system is based on meters, liters, and grams, and we use prefixes to indicate what the precise measurement is. So for example, a millimeter, which you're very familiar with this already because we've covered it in science, I know. A millimeter is 1/1000th of a meter. A centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. A decimeter would be 1/10th of a meter, and it goes on like so. Decameter would be 10 meters together. A hectometer would be 100 meters, and then the very common kilometer, which is what is typically used for highways and roads in other countries. So these prefixes are used with meters, liters, and grams depending on if we're measuring distance, capacity, or weight. Okay, you are familiar with customary units, which are inches, feet, and yards, and miles for distance, ounces, pounds, and tons for weight, and then ounces, cups, pints, quarts, and gallons for capacity or volume as well. So we will be talking about these different units of measurements, but we're also, like I said, we're going to do some problems today where we're going to be converting between the units of measurement. All right, so let's get started with our problems. Okay, so our first problem requires us to convert 3,200 milligrams into grams. So I know that milli means 1,000. So we're gonna use conversion factors to do all of our converting. So my first step is to write 3,200 milligrams, and then I'm gonna multiply. And now I'm going to put milligrams here on the bottom and grams here on the top. Okay, so very important that I have milligrams across from one another. So now I'm just going to kind of cover this up and think to myself, okay, how many milligrams are in a gram? So I know that there are 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. And now I'm going to look at the problem as a whole, and I'm going to look across and see that I can cross cancel milligrams. And then I am going to just treat this sort of like a multiplication of fractions. 3,200 times 1 is 3,200 over 1,000. And I still have grams here, so I'm going to write grams. And I know I can simplify this by reducing it by 1,000. I'll do it over here. 3,200 over 1,000 divided by 1,000 equals 3.2, and this was grams, because this would be over 1,000 by 1,000 is over 1. So it's just 3.2 grams. Okay, so I set it up by writing 3,200 milligrams. I put my multiplication sign, a line. I wrote, because milligrams was here, I put milligrams diagonally, and then I put grams on the top because I knew the relationship. I knew that there was 1,000 milligrams of 1 gram, and then I just proceeded to cancel out, and then I did my multiplication. 3,200 times 1 is 3,200. 1,000 I could put this over 1. 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. And then I just reduced and got my final answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the next problem, which is 57 centimeters into, or I'm going to change that to millimeters. Well, let's see. I'm going to write centimeters. Now, there's another way that I could do this problem, but oopsies. I'm supposed to put a multiplication sign. But I'm going to use the conversion factor because that's just sort of the way that I like to get my answers, because even though it might take long sometimes, it actually always gets me to the right place. So this is kind of this is just my way of doing this, okay? So I'm putting 57 centimeters over 1. And then I write my multiplication sign like last time and then my line. And now I have centimeters across from centimeters. And I know that there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Okay? And then I also know that in 1 meter, there's 1,000 millimeters. So I have set myself up by putting centimeters across from diagonally from centimeters so I can cancel them out. And then I'm going to cancel out my meters and meters. And then look at that. I end up with the millimeters that I wanted. So now I'm going to do 57 times 1 times 1,000, which is 57,000. And then 1 times 100 times 1 is 100. And then I bring down my millimeters because that's what I'm left with. And I end up, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to cross out my zeros. I end up with 570 millimeters. And that is my final answer, 570 millimeters. Okay, let's go on to example number 3, which is 46 2/3 yards. And I got to convert that to feet. Okay, so 46 2/3 yards. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to, how do I want to solve this problem? Okay, 46 2/3, oopsies, that doesn't look appropriate. 46 2/3 yards. And then I'm going to write my multiplication sign and then my line. I'm going to write yards here and feet here. Okay, and then I know I'm going to end up with feet because that's what I want to end up with. So this is going to be pretty easy. Now, I know that in 1 yard there are 3 feet. And then I'm going to cancel out my yards. So I could have put that over 1 if I wanted to, but it's not necessary. So I end up, it seems I need to multiply 46 2/3 times 3 to get my final answer because these are both times 1. So they're just going to end up being over 1, which is negligible. Okay, so let me go ahead and do my side work to get my final answer, which is, let's see, 46 times 3 is 18. So it's going to be 138 over 3 times 3 over 1. So I'm going to cross cancel that, and I will end up with 138. So my answer is 138 feet. Okay, moving on. So I've got 22 quarts equals how many gallons? So we're going to figure out how many quarts make a gallon. So I'm going to go 22 quarts times, and then I'm going to go quart, and then I'm going to go gallons here. Now, I believe there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So I'm going to cancel out quarts, and I'm left with gallons, which is great. 22 times 1 is 22. I've got 4 here, which I could put this over 1. 1 times 4 is 4. And then I end up with gallons. And then 4 goes into 22. 5 times 5 2/4 gallons, or 5.5 gallons. Final answer. So again, I take my 22 quarts. I put my multiplication sign, my line, I put quarts diagonally, I have gallons here, and then I cancel out quarts, 22 times 1, and I just multiply like so, and I will end up, I just use my usual multiplying fractions, make it into a mixed number, simplify it, get the gallons. Okay. All right. Ooh, so for this one, example 4, it says, looks like it's an extension to this problem. So change the gallons to gallons and quarts. Interesting. So I have 5.5 gallons here. So they want us to tell them how many gallons and quarts we have. So here we have 5 gallons, and this half gallon would end up being, let's see, how many quarts are in a gallon? 4 quarts are in a gallon. So it would be 5 gallons and 2 quarts. Okay, so for example 5, we need to change 700 grams to ounces. And here it indicates that there are 28.35 grams in 1 ounce. So what we're going to do, once again, is we are going to write 700 grams times, and then line. I'm going to put grams here and ounces up here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put 28.35 here and 1 ounce. And so we're going to go ahead and cancel out grams and grams. And then we're going to multiply 700 times 1 is 700 with 28.35 here ounces. We're going to keep that the ounces. I'm going to use the calculator to figure this out. So clear. So we're going to do 700 divided by 28.35, which equals 24.69. We'll just call it 24.69 ounces. And that is our approximate answer because I rounded it. All right, moving on. Example 6. We're going to change 500 miles to kilometers. Now, once again, we're going to write 500 miles times miles in the bottom, kilometers on the top. Here in my key, it says that there is 1.609 kilometers in 1 mile. So I have miles and miles. I'm going to cancel out the miles. I've got to do 500 times 1 and 609 thousandths. So I'll go ahead and do that. 500 times 1.609. That equals 804.5 kilometers. So if you were traveling in another country where it's very common to use kilometers, this is how you could get to that conversion. Moving on to these examples. Okay, these are some addition problems that we have, addition and subtraction. So we're just going to go ahead and add up. So I'm going to get 5 quarts and 8 gallons. Now, the thing about 5 quarts is there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this up. I'm going to take my 4 quarts that make a gallon, and then I have 1 left over that's kind of by itself. So I'm going to add that to the 8. So I'm going to have a total of 9 gallons and 1 quart. That would be the best way to give you that answer. And then if I do the same here, this is a subtraction problem. Now, I've got 8 minus 13 ounces. So what I can do here, if I use my problem solving skills, I know that 1 pound has 16 ounces. 1 pound has 16 ounces. I'm trying to think if that, yeah, 1 pound has 16 ounces. Okay, so I'm going to borrow from here. I'm going to take a pound from the pound section, and I'm going to add it to this 8 ounces. But I'm going to add, when I take that 1 pound, it has 16 ounces in it. So 16 plus 8 is actually 24 ounces. So this is going to be 24 ounces minus 13 ounces. 24 minus 13 is 11 ounces. Now I can proceed here. 11 minus 7 is going to be 4. And then we get 24 pounds and 11 ounces. Okay, so here are some examples of the types of problems that we will be, oh, wait, actually we got one more. Example 9. Okay, example 9, I've got 2 feet and 1 foot, that equals 3 feet. And I've got 12 yards plus 4 yards, that's 16 yards. But 3 feet is actually equal to 1 yard. So I'm just going to add the 1 yard and the 16, and I'm going to have 17 yards total. Final answer.